Hey, getting right into it because there's a lot to get into, folks. This is Grumpy Old Guy Gaming, and we are here in the Shining Darkness server for the first of three, count 'em, three videos worth of running we did on a Tuesday night. I'm here with Emuz and his heavy blade alt Scooty Puff Sr. in this first one. As you can see, quite a level disparity. I believe Scooty Puff was coming in sub-level 10, perhaps sub-level 5 at this point. I think maybe 3 or 4. And Dionysius is level 90, so I'm going to attempt to carry here. The problem is Dionysius, as a Wavemaster, is designed to do large amounts of damage and very little else. So carrying it online is actually somewhat difficult, as I have to try and let the other person get hits in and also make sure they survive. As you can see here, kind of a daunting task. Two Moo Guardians get Scooty Puff down right quick and in a hurry. Fortunately able to get the resurrect off in time. Spoilers, we won't be that lucky throughout the entire field. The monsters in this field, no big worry for me here. They are well below my level. I want to say this was a level 20 something field. See a treasure chest pop out of the second portal. I will say, as there was a lot of content to go through here, I did my best to pare down some of the lower action areas. Also, I do apologize if a bit of the chat audio comes through. I was trying to leave it out, as you never know exactly who's going to show up on a Tuesday. There you saw a Moo Guardian and a couple Dust Curse, and poor Scooty Puff didn't even get a hit in before Dionysius' summon landed, and that just made things uncomfortable all around. I did get an audio splitter, but in true not tech-savvy fashion, I didn't quite set it up right, and there was a little bleed through. So if you occasionally hear a murmur of what sounds like a voice, it's a murmur of a voice. Fortunately, it was fairly muted on the original audio, and I pared it down further while doing commentary in post. Here you see a big giant tree that just can't find roots in the sand. And to Woodstock we will go. Saw a couple great hits get in, none of them by my Wavemaster, because Lancier missed. Had to come in with a quick kill on Emuz, and there you saw 54 experience to the better for Scooty Puff Sr. The elder of the Scooty Puffs, of course. Here were three Moo Guardians. Definitely didn't see three of them coming out of the portal playing live. It was a hot evening. It was like near 90 degrees. It was a full day. That was 100% on me. One of the nice things about going back and running lower level fields is you're not going to advance at all, but you feel ridiculously powerful. I was over 6,000 for reasons. Yet another Woodstock, and this just ain't gonna last long. Moo Guardian floating over the top there. These machine deserts are fantastic for wandering monsters. They just sort of pop up over the horizon line like that, clearly visible. As you could see that Moo Guardian getting rocked. Also fun to throw out foul rep at 70 SP, only get 167 because it's a full heal. Get a Moo Guardian wandering in while Woodstock battle is taking place, sort of a difficult position. I was hoping to get both of the monsters together here and just finish with one summon. Didn't quite happen, and the Guardian's actually going to tail away, which makes it incredibly difficult to get everything gauged right. And there you see, didn't quite get Scooty Puff up in time for the experience. Generally, if you could get that resurrect off during the monster's death animation, a character will most times be back to life before the monster fades away, which is the instant experience is accrued. And as long as the person got some damage in on that monster and they're alive for that moment, they will get the experience. The game will track that even through an in-battle death and resurrection. Now, the way to tell if a character was alive or not is rather simple. the portrait is sort of colored out while they're dead, and when it comes back to the full color that you see currently, then you know they are ready to go and fully conscious, as it were, for the sake of game state. Big critical hit there, followed by another. That may seem like a lucky run of 3 crits in a row for Scooty Puff, but actually Scooty Puff is equipped with Mimiru's sword, which is another one of the 100% crit weapons. I go on and on about Krim's spear in my videos, because it's what I've got on Grumpo Guy, my long arm. But Mimiru's sword is another one, and a fantastic option for heavy blades. Because again, this area is at least 15 to 20 levels above Scooty Puff, and well, the poor heavy blade has taken some serious damage, especially on the magical end. When they land hits, you could see they're not negligible hits. That's some serious damage it's thrown out to the dust curses, or dust curse type enemies. I'm not 100% sure which monster that is. Would help if I paid attention there. See, it's thrown around curse blades. There we are. Thrown around 110 to 150s. Hitting things well above its level, and that is not terrible. Decided to get in a little bit of the fun there on the melee attack battle, punching for a sizable 91. Got a few portals left here in the field. Actually, almost kind of lined up with the dungeon there below. 3 Moo Guardians, pretty much the nightmare scenario for me here. That's a very timely healing elixir burnt, and all for naught, because the next wave of spells just downs Scooty Puff. Nothing to do there at all, hit at that magical moment. Did get a quad 9's elemental hit there, and that's about as good as you can do with damage, numerically speaking, in Magic. When you're casting, quad 9's is your cap. Getting a couple Mandragora there. And now with 2 portals left to go. One of which is just a treasure chest. Symbol coming up here is going to give us, I believe, Apjuka. No reason to believe it's the only thing other than Apdu, the speed boost that both characters are sharing, so I guess that logic panned out pretty well. Roaming Moo Guardian onto the last portal, which is going to give us a couple cursed blades. Big old hit for the first one. Dionysius downs it with a little melee combat. Scooty Puff Sr. solos the final one with a critical hit for the kill and a level up. Now let's cut to the dungeon. And we're going right into the action here. Skipped that first room with the buffs. We've got a Menhir added to our Moo Guardian fun. Making sure the Goyle Menhir goes down smooth as can be. We're going to take a normally overlooked shortcut for us here, as Scooty Puff's still rather new within the game and could use a bit of a stock up, so we head into this treasure room here for some quick item acquisition. Again, these barrels and crates will replenish every time you duck in and out of the room, so if you find yourself low on any antidotes or restoratives, maybe you want to take a shot at getting the elemental boost item that is native to that field type. Go ahead, just duck in and out of one of those treasure rooms. It's a fantastic chance to do so. Another Moo Guardian here, and another Goyle Menhir. Could see the importance of taking that Menhir down first. If you don't, you're going to face the Moo Guardian twice. That's all there is to it. get a quick heal, and like I said, with the level up, Scooty Puff now just at the threshold of the 200 hit point mark, sitting at 190. One more level should take them over that line. Got a Woodstock here, and all of those 170 some numbers were actually Scooty Puff Sr. on an elemental hit Migan ROM. Heavy Blades, not known for their magical acumen, but in that instance, level 2 ROM spell versus enemy weak to the element, did quite a chunk of damage, and rather swiftly too. Needless to say, you're not getting the same results out of a Moo Guardian, a couple 9s and a 7, but damage is damage, and that is a great way to accumulate experience. Said it before and I'll say it again, your best friend at low levels is a ROM spell. Hits multiple enemies right out of the portal, and very seldom is a total miss. Even if it just deals a damage or two, it typically tends to hit at least once or twice. Couple more portals here in the first. This one is a Woodstock that you'll see again is at half health, maybe a little more than that, by the time the Organ Zot lands from Dionysius, because Scooty Puff doing more than their fair share of magical damage against it. Gonna finish out with one more tree. This time, our intrepid Heavy Blade decides to take a hack at it, cuts a good chunk out of the trunk before we move into floor 2. Bit more of a natural transition on this one, and that means we get to see everybody's favorite thing, start a floor buffing. Right now it's my favorite thing because it gives me a chance to breathe. I don't get too many opportunities these days with my schedule and whatnot to actually record audio and post, so this is a fun little departure for me. Doing the best I can to keep up. Normally I'm just talking live, and as it flies, it flies. Nice thing about being a higher level carry, especially the way I set up my card 1 characters, is we're able to get those full buffs going. Obviously I don't have 3 rows of buffs here, I don't have all of the pertinence, but if you could get hit point and skill point regeneration up and speed boost, I feel that's about as good as you could really hope for. Get some passive regenerations going, and the ability to move a little quicker. Something I took for granted when I first played Infection way back in the day. And thanks to Fragment, I now find a vital part of the experience. Get a Manir and a Moo Guardian floating around here. See a little bit of chip on the Guardian, and there Crake finishes the job. Here, treasure in the background as we make our way down to, I believe, the final portal. Only 2 portals in this second floor, rather quick dungeon. I usually run a 2-3 floor dungeon when we run as a sort of warm-up to start things off. We did end up running 6 distinct fields this evening. Over the course of a Tuesday, Emuz was with me for 5 of them. And I got the pleasure of running with Daisushi. Newer player, has been very active the last couple weeks or so as the back of my chair cracks in the background. I'm sure that won't be distracting at all. There you had an inadvertent trade during the all clear. Got to run with Daisushi for a couple. This will be split into 3 videos. I did not realize exactly how long the footage went. As we go to the chest here, Scooty Puff will claim the prize, and we will get set to back out and try another field. Gonna go for the ocarina here in a second. But hey, that's one in the books. Got Scooty Puff Sr. a level and had some fun with spells on low level enemies. When you have a run like that, it's a good warm up, get the fingers limbered up, build a little confidence, and maybe push the envelope a little bit on the second. Bonham's bristly mediocrity are the key words here for our second adventure. Going to be a forest field, and this I can tell you, not pushing the hardest we'll push today, but again, we are sort of seeing what we could do here in terms of carrying and getting characters experience, which is a bit of a rare commodity in Fragment. Infection, Mutation, Outbreak, and Quarantine have fairly balanced experience gaining mechanics, especially for a single player game. I guess the thought was, with this being a multiplayer concept and them wanting you to party up and play online, they muted the experience quite heavily. Here you see an ogre popping out. Should have probably thrown a arrows out there, but again, we're at a level range where I'm safely going to decimate anything I hit. Scooty Puff got a couple shots in early. We're not high enough for that chain of enemy to be magic tolerant yet, so nothing to worry about there. Gonna skip these treasure chests and move down to the room below for the portal. I don't believe we hit the Spring of Mist here. Get a couple mantis to fight here. Always cool to see these things. Probably one of the neater models, more from a distance. Face looks a little wonky up close. But as you could see, the mantis are still dropping 40 experience. Taking a moment, letting the passive regeneration heal. One more mantis, and that'll be our all clear for the field. And another terrible looking mess from Lance here. Just beautiful camera angle and no damage to be found. I believe we head into that side passage there just to check out what's in the treasure chest. And I can't remember if Emuz said it or not, but if they did, it's lost to time because, spoilers, it's the next morning, and I've forgotten a good deal of what we did and did not say over the course of that chat. It was an enjoyable chat. Did have fun talking to a great number of people who stopped by. I will be sure to thank them in the description of the video. As to me, this is probably the best part of the game. Fragment as a social experience. Getting to sit there, shoot the breeze with people, and just kind of hang out. Obviously, almost any multiplayer game offers that, yet this is right in that sweet spot of being a fun game to play and yet not so daunting that you need to hyper-focus on every little part of it in most cases. Doing a bit of stalling because, again, I didn't edit out the mandatory buff scene here. Not really a mandatory buff scene, I've just gotten into the habit, as you've probably noticed if you've seen my other videos, of getting the buffs set up right at the start of every floor. The first room is 90% free. I will say there are some custom fields out there on various servers that may or may not have portals in that first room, because you can place them there using the area server program if you create a custom field. That said, in a procedurally generated dungeon like this, that first room is going to be a free room. It's going to be a safe space and a good space to get yourself ready for the perils ahead. Already talked my happy backside through the first portal. Here we get a Dark Rider to go with a Mantis. Make that a pair of Dark Riders. Just like the actual gameplay, I didn't see the second one because I was focused on the Mantis. Saw once again, Scooty Puff got that unfortunate death just a little too late to be brought back in time for the experience. A little bit of healing going on here. Getting the buffs back up as well. Next portal are just a pair of Dark Riders. Getting into that 4-digit range on hit points for the enemies. That time we did get Scooty Puff up in time. You could see for the valorous effort of trying to tank things that are several levels above the heavy blade, we got a reward of 80 experience for them. Nothing to poo-poo at there. Again, if you're hitting on equal level with a monster, if the field you went to is about where you are in level, you could expect 5 to 7 experience, I would say, on average. A bit more for larger monsters, but smaller monsters come in groups and will give a bigger payout overall. So getting 80 out of a portal, nothing to turn your nose at here. Pardon me. Throat's a little dry this morning. I've already gone through about a pint of tea just recording audio. Got a bee assault and a dark rider in this room. Gonna put the bee up in the tree. A little bit of crake there, and per usual it misses, so Organzot in for the finish. Unfortunately, I think despite casting a full summon and another spell, Scooty Puff didn't get a single hit in. Might have been a good time for Meganrom there, but hey, melee attacks are fun. And if you can hit an enemy like that with high melee evasion, it's another feather in the old cap. There you see the Meganrom actually did a really good job there. I did not do the best job of carrying, as I thought I was closer to the damaged bees than the undamaged ones, and was woefully incorrect. So a little bit of lost experience for Scooty Puff. Here we get 2B Assault and a Mantis, and the Meganrom right out of the portal does in fact hit all three and allows me to just dive in. Got 2 of them on the initial cast. Mantis does escape, but not for long. And that's a nice quick 3 enemy room taken care of. A little bit of a pause in the action before we get rolling. And now it's time to take the stairs down to floor number 2. Second floor already of a more sprawling nature. So we're going to go ahead, get our pertinence back up, and then venture onward. Hear that egg in the background? Either a golden egg or I want to say an immature. Don't think I looked close enough to really see either then or in post. Another egg getting picked up as I realized I forgot to give myself a speed charm there at the start of the second. And into the first actual portal of the floor, all the way here on the left side. Get a pair of mantis. I'm going to assume that mantis is the plural of mantis. It could be mantises, it could be manti. One hit for Scooty Puff, and Lance here actually connects, so that's 2 kills. Gonna make our way back around the bend here. See, the right side of this dungeon looks to be quite a bit more populated, at least in theory. Certainly going to hold true on the first portal as we get 2 Mantis and a Dark Rider. Clear out the Mantis. A little bit of back and forth between the Dark Rider and Scooty Puff Sr. is finished off with a Marrows. And with 2 more portals left. Fairly easy second floor, all things considered. As you can see, Scooty Puff just 10 days from retirement. Another Woodstock, as we note. These things fairly easily dealt with. And still give him 50 quality experience in the aftermath for the Heavy Blade. One of these jagged sort of W-shaped rooms here. Gonna give us 2 more Dark Riders to mess with. This time they split up, which is rather beautiful as it allows Scooty Puff the chance to damage both. Total of 78 experience from there. And down to the 3rd floor we will head. As you can see, at some point Scooty Puff did level because we are up to 213 hit points for the Heavy Blade and 24 SP. That 2 SP per level gain is going to be kind of a pain using skills, but you gotta love the hit points, especially at that low level. Like I said, I want to say that's level 6 or 7. Buffs once again being laid down because start of a new floor. And because I didn't edit it out. Three more Dark Riders here to start off the 3rd. Scooty Puff in a bit of peril. Get all 3 together and finish them off with a Marrows. Just put them on ice. Fairly compact 3rd floor from the looks of things. Several portals, but the rooms are rather neatly grouped together. Even with the non-elemental hit and a couple misses, did about a quarter of the health bar on that Megan ROM. Moving to this left sort of branch here, we get a sideways T-shaped room connecting to rooms above and below. But first we have to deal with the 2 Knight Riders that came out of the portal at the intersection here. Easily enough dealt with. You could see the chip damage already done, so that when these fall, eventually, as I keep missing the targets I intend to hit, full experience will be granted to the Heavy Blade. Technically, full experience will be granted to the Wavemaster as well, but with this level difference, that full experience is 0. One more Woodstock to deal with in the bottom left, and that one is going to be dealt with rather handily using Earth Element spells, as that is the element that creature is weak to. Here comes yet another Woodstock. See, the elemental hit kept that in really, really poor condition and an easy finish for Organzot. Here, yet another egg being picked up. Now I'm questioning if it's immature or invisible, because I want to say these cave types spawn invisible eggs. I can't remember. Just a chest out of that portal. And we can move to the next room once the door opens here. Last portal of the floor giving us an ogre, something we hadn't seen for the better part of the last 2 floors, I want to say. So that's 3 in the books. I believe this was a 5-floor dungeon. Nice second dungeon to dip the old toes in, something with a bit more heft to it. Remember, the deeper the dungeon goes, more variety you're going to see of monsters, the more unique combinations. And naturally, the more experience you'll typically get because you have that many more chances to gain it. Floor number 4 now. As we see the fairy's orb shows that the stairs down just a couple rooms to our left. But we have a portal even above that, and we've got some portals directly beneath us too. So some potential for exploration here in the 4th. Ogre to start this one out. Enjoy seeing these guys. Especially enjoy dealing 7,000 damage to them. See, the underneath is a bit more expansive than I would have guessed initially. Big 118 point critical to lead off the damage dealing. Gonna head to the side passage first. Got one of the little cutout square rooms where, again, you could potentially trap monsters if you were so inclined. Also, there has to be a monster, as that portal turns out to just be a treasure chest. Got, looks like 4 more portals down here in the underneath. This one's going to give us more bees to deal with. See the bees sort of hammering away. Lower levels here, this bee assault can be somewhat problematic, but nowhere near as deadly as the commandos or the higher level variants. These, I believe, can critical hit, as you can see, incredibly weak to magic. But they don't have death touch yet. And that quick succession attack with Death Touch can be an ender, because if it hits with that Death Strike in the first attack or two, it could very well finish you off with the 3rd and 4th hit of that combo. Risky business to be handled at the very bottom of the dungeon, and that just gives us a couple more portals here to check out in a side passage, and that will wrap up the bottom portion of the 4th floor. Next portal at the bend is going to give us a Woodstock. We know how this goes, and it's all over but shouting by the time the spells are cast. 50 more experience to the Scooty Puff. Be a fun game to go back and see how many times I say Scooty Puff. But not so much fun for this ogre who's going to take all the damage on magic. Got to land a hammer attack once, and that was existence. Just like that, a once populated dungeon is looking rather sparse. Only got, again, a couple portals to the upper left of this. One before the juncture, and then we have the juncture leading to the stairs down, and we actually have a dead-end room above it with a portal as well, now coming into view on the mini-map. Penultimate portal of the room is going to give us yet another ogre. Good 45 damage pops from that McGann ROM. Yet another 50 experience gain. Now we're going to move through this little intersection room to the dead end. And we get 2 more bee assaults to finish out the 4th. You can see we got a critical and no damage proc there, as well as some poison. Poison usually negligible damage, but in combination with those tandem attacks, especially with both bee assaults, Scooty Puff in a bit of trouble, and we kind of have to abandon our plan of trying to group them together. Just make sure chip damage is served, and now that it has been, finally get around to casting the spell. Don't know what I was doing there with Dionysius. Maybe I was looking for a good photograph opportunity. But we did get through the fourth here. And now it's time to move on to what I believe is the bottom floor. Stairs down just in the next room. And here we go for floor number 5. The beginning of the end, if it were. You could see the statue chest room right there. And a fair bit of dungeon to check out before it. And in typical bottom floor fashion, you get a bunch of small to medium rooms and a portal or two in just about every one. I don't believe there are any double portal rooms in this particular floor. But there is a fair bit of portals here. We could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 just visually as that intersection portal on the right side. You can just get the outline of the edge on it. First room's going to be a smaller corridor. Going to give us the Bee Assault and Mantis treatment, as the Mantis is back after a floor or so hiatus. And it's yet another level up for Scooty Puff Sr. Had some decent gains for the old heavy blade there. So I believe all 5 of Emuz's runs were done with that character. I did switch out after this field, I want to say. Here comes yet another ogre. Always fun to hit quad 9s. 2 more portals here on the left side. Going to the small dead-end corridor first. Battling on this little sort of out-jutting with a Bee Assault. See some pretty massive chunks taken out in melee. And down go the bees. Got a room slightly beneath us to the right here, and that's going to finish off the left portion of this 5th and final floor. To Bee Assault. Once again, just tissue paper to magic. Lance here doing its finest job of actually looking like a summons. Hitting helps in those instances. And with but a few portals left in the dungeon here, it's time to clean things up, get a bit more experience for the heavy blade, and move our way to the statue room. First of the 3 portals is going to give us 2 Mantis and a Bee Assault grouped nicely. So we get that early Megan ROM, and they stay close enough that Crake is able to finish the job entirely, get heaps of experience all in one shot, and a somewhat risky venture turned very, very routine. Moving to a bend-in-the-road type room, and at the corner we see yet another Bee Assault and yet another Mantis. This time the Mantis sneaks on by and decides to take a poke at Scooty Puff as Dionysius finishes off the Bee Assault. Marrow's missing the Mantis the first time. A little bit of alliteration, unintentional. See a risky treasure there sitting right at the bend. So we get ready to move to the final portal of the dungeon. And coming out of that portal will be 2 more Mantis and a Bee Assault. Solid way to finish things. See the 337s piled up there for experience. And now we're going to move to the statue chest. That is going to do it for, again, part 1 of 3. Expect the second part, which is actually the last part, to drop later this week. And then the middle was a bit special, so I think I'm going to work on that a bit, make it all nice for y'all. And be sure to keep an eye out for that as well. In the meantime, this has been a Grumpy Old Guy Gaming, thanking you for watching, saying take care, and we'll see you around.